Hello, Rowan University.
In here, out there, we're coming to you live from the Beaux-Arts Hall newsroom. I'm Matt Razey.
So that makes me Franke Sisto.
That it does.
We start tonight off with news from New York City, Wall Street to be specific.
Are those protests still going on?
Yes, they are, and it looks like there are no signs of them stopping anytime soon.
Well, tell us about it.
Gladly. As of this past Friday, American citizens all over the country are still voicing their displeasure with the current state of affairs. By occupying various public streets and other locations, this grassroots movement seeks to blame Wall Street in New York for the current economic hardships plaguing the country. From Seattle to Lower Manhattan, people have been taking to the streets for weeks now in an attempt to give voice to what they feel is a now voiceless majority, lost in a sea of corporate interest. This has naturally put the protesters at odds with local authorities, namely cleaning crews who are attempting to routinely watch the areas currently being occupied by the demonstrators. Despite the insistence of the authorities, however, most of the protesters have not budged from their positions, an act of defiance that led to the arrest of 10 activists in Seattle late on Thursday. A similar situation happened in Denver on Friday, but most of the occupants left the grounds without a fuss. Of course, arrests were made, but other than a few trash cans being turned over and some traffic being obstructed, which led to the arrest of 14 people in New York, the gatherings have maintained a stance of non-violence. To give some good news, the authorities in Manhattan called off their plans to clean an occupied area when the people they were trying to push out worked together to clean it up themselves. Despite the few arrests, however, it should be said that the support for this movement is still growing, but it will be interesting to see where it goes in the days and weeks to come.
Wow, that's interesting stuff.
If I talk about it anymore, I'll never calm down.
Well, calming down's never been your strong suit.
It's your turn. Floor is yours. Take it away.
An American Airline flight from New York to Los Angeles was forced to land in Denver Thursday night after an intoxicated passenger became unruly and hit a flight attendant. This time, the government is filing serious charges. Investigators say the passenger had several drinks and became loud and disruptive about 90 minutes into the flight with about 160 passengers on board. When those sitting near him complained, they were reseated before he started kicking the seats in front of him. When the flight attendants were unable to quiet him down, they moved him to the last row of seats, but continued to be loud and struck one of them in the face. He continued to make several threats along with many obscenities before the flight attendants handcuffed him with plastic restraints, and two of them were forced to sit on him until he landed in Denver, where the man was arrested. He's been charged with interfering with flight crew and attendants, which provides a maximum penalty of 20 years and a fine of $250,000. The passenger lives in Long Island and is of Armenian descent and has requested a Russian interpreter.
You cannot make that stuff up.
Seriously.
Well, that's actually not all the news we want to share with the world today.
No, it isn't, because it turns out that we're not the only ones who have had a busy weekend. President Obama was on the move this weekend promoting his job-creating plan.
CBS's Tara Mergener has all the details.
President Obama headed for Michigan to tout a new trade deal with South Korea.
The Korea Free Trade Act, we believe, will create up to 70,000 jobs.
He and South Korea's president will tour a General Motors plant that's using South Korean parts. The plant had been shuttered, but reopened after an $80 billion federal bailout in 2009. In this battleground state that suffered from tremendous unemployment, the president will use this visit to promote his policies to get Americans back to work. And he's not given up on his jobs bill, even though Republican senators killed it earlier this week.
We're going to break each of these bills apart. We're going to say, let's have a vote on putting teachers back in the classroom. Let's have a vote on rebuilding our infrastructure.
But Republicans say the president's plan is no more than irresponsible government spending. They've announced their own jobs plan that doesn't include a single item from the president's bill.
The president's plan does nothing new. Ours is the way to go.
The GOP proposal calls for repealing the president's health care law and requiring a balanced budget. It would also lower corporate and individual tax rates and ease government regulations on businesses. Republicans say it will create 5 million jobs.
This is a bill that can pass if the Democrats will open their eyes and work with us.
President Obama says he's willing to work with Republicans, but he's not giving up on his own plan just yet. Monday, he'll kick off a 3-day bus tour to promote it. Tara Mergener for CBS News, Washington.
$80 billion? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, you did. That's more money than I'll ever see in a lifetime.
That's insane.
It's definitely insane. And unfortunately, that package took up the rest of the time we had.
Nice, so it's time to sign off?
Once again, for Rowan News, I am Franke Sisto.
And I'm Matt Razey.
That's it.
That's it.
Good night, world.